Don't sign that. The room snapped still. Maya stood by the door, fingers tight around a silver tray, water trembling at the rim. Every suit turned. Richard Hale didn't. His pen hovered inches above the contract. Who said that? She stepped forward. One step too far. Security shifted near the wall. A man near the table let out a short laugh. Richard finally looked up. You? Maya's throat moved. She didn't blink. If you sign page 27, you lose everything. A beat. Then Richard smiled, slow, dangerous. Come here, he said. She didn't move. His pen touched the paper and stopped. What did you just say? If you're watching this late where you are, would you have spoken up or stayed quiet? She just challenged a billionaire mid-signature. That's not a small risk, that's career-ending. And right now, every eye in that room is waiting to see if she backs down or doubles down. The elevator doors slid shut on her reflection. Maya stood alone, tray pressed against her hip, water still dripping onto the rubber floor. Her hand shook once. She tightened her grip until it stopped. Down the hall, voices carried. Laughter. Then silence again. She stepped out into the service corridor. Dim lights. The hum of vents. No one looked up as she passed. Just a cart rolling by, wheels squeaking, a mop bucket sloshing gray water. At the sink, she turned the faucet on too hard. Water slammed into metal. She rinsed the tray like nothing had happened. Like her voice hadn't just cut through a room full of people who could end her job with a glance. A woman beside her dried glasses without looking over. You're new, she muttered. Maya nodded once. You don't talk in there, the woman added. Flat. Not advice, fact. Maya set the tray upright. Water slid down in thin lines. I know, she said. Her reflection stared back at her in the steel panel. Chin steady. I still. A security radio crackled somewhere behind her. Low voices. A name unclear, then louder. Get her back upstairs. Now. The woman beside her stopped, drying for a second, then kept going. Maya reached for a cloth, wiped her hands slowly. Most people learn to stay quiet before anyone has to tell them. Footsteps approached. Fast. She didn't turn around. The conference room door opened without a knock. 2 security guards stepped aside first. Then Maya. She walked in slower this time. No tray. Just her hands empty at her sides. No one offered her a seat. A man near the end of the table leaned back, whispering something under his breath. Another slid his tablet closer, like she might touch it. Richard didn't stand. He stayed where he was, one hand flat on the table, the other still holding the pen. Not signing, not moving. You interrupted a closing deal, he said. Not loud. Not angry. Worse. Maya stopped 3 steps from the table. That page, she said, voice steady. It shifts liability after execution. A quiet scoff from the left. Someone tapped a pen. Faster now. Richard tilted his head slightly. You read legal contracts? While cleaning floors? No answer. He gestured once. Sharp. Come closer. She didn't move. The room noticed. A chair creaked. Someone shifted, watching. Richard's fingers tapped the paper. Once. Twice. Or is that as far as you go? He added. Still nothing. Then she stepped forward. 1 step. Enough to reach the table, but not enough to lean in. Richard slid the contract toward her with 2 fingers. Show me. The test. Maya looked down. Didn't touch it. Page 27, she said. Bottom section. A man across from her flipped it open quickly. Scanning. His eyes slowed, then stopped. Silence spread. Richard watched him. Not the page. Not Maya. The man's jaw tightened. That clause. He started, then stopped. No one laughed now. Richard's pen lowered to the table. A soft click. He finally looked down at the document. His finger traced a single line. Paused. Then pressed harder. The room didn't breathe. Maya didn't move. Didn't blink. Richard leaned back slightly. Eyes still locked on the page. Who wrote this? He asked. No one answered. But across the table, someone shifted too fast. And Maya saw it. Just before Richard's eyes lifted. toward the same man. No one spoke. Richard's gaze locked on the man across the table. "You drafted this?" he asked. The man hesitated. Just a second too long. Maya saw it. The slight shift in his shoulders. The way his hand slid off the tablet like it suddenly burned. "That clause isn't standard," she said. Every head turned back to her. A woman near the window frowned. "You've said enough." Maya didn't look at her. "It activates after signature," Maya continued, voice steady. "Not before. That means once it's signed, it's too late to dispute." A sharp inhale somewhere behind her. Richard didn't move. His finger still pressed into the page. "Explain," he said. "Not to the room. To her." The word hung there, heavy. Maya stepped closer to the table. Too close now. Close enough that her shadow crossed the document. A man beside Richard leaned away slightly, like she had crossed into space she didn't belong in. She pointed. Not touching, just hovering over the line. "Here," she said. "It looks like a protection clause, but it transfers full liability if any regulatory issue comes up after execution." The man across the table spoke quickly now. "That's not." "It is." Maya cut in. Too fast. Too direct. The room snapped tight. Someone whispered. She just interrupted him. Richard's eyes lifted slowly. Not angry. Worse. Interested. "You're interrupting counsel," he said. Maya's hand dropped, but she didn't step back. "If I'm wrong," she said, "sign it." Silence. Complete. The man across the table shifted again, louder this time. "This is completely inappropriate. She's not qualified." "Then it should be easy to prove her wrong," Richard said. Still calm. Still watching. The man swallowed. Reached for the contract. Flipped the page back. Then forward again. His fingers slowed. Stopped. A bead of sweat formed near his temple. Maya didn't move. Didn't speak. Richard leaned forward now, elbows on the table. "Read it out loud," he said. The man's lips parted. Closed. Then opened again. "It states that in the event of post-execution liability." "Keep going." The man's voice tightened. "The acquiring party assumes full responsibility." The last word barely came out. A chair creaked. Someone muttered under their breath. Richard's pen rolled slowly across the table, then stopped at the edge. He didn't reach for it. "Full responsibility," Richard repeated. Soft. Dangerous. His eyes lifted again. Locked on the man. "Was that your intention?" No answer. The room felt smaller now. Airtighter. The man's hand trembled slightly on the paper. This is standard language in certain." "No," Maya said. Too quick. Too certain. Every head snapped toward her again. She stepped forward. One more step. Now right beside the table. Right where she absolutely wasn't supposed to be. "This isn't standard," she said. "It's a trap." The word hit hard. Echoed. A woman near the end of the table stood halfway up. "That's enough." "Security." "Wait." Richard didn't raise his voice, but everything stopped. He leaned back slowly, eyes moving between Maya and the man across from him, measuring, calculating. Then, he slid the contract across the table, not to his legal team, to Maya. "Prove it," he said. A sharp breath caught in the room. Maya looked down at the document. Didn't touch it. Didn't move. Security shifted behind her. One step closer. The man across the table spoke again. Faster now. "You can't seriously be letting." "Prove it," Richard repeated, this time without looking at him. Only at her. The room waited. Maya's hand lifted. Slow. Hovering over the contract. One wrong move, and she was done. Fired. Thrown out. Maybe worse. Her fingers lowered, just above the page, and stopped, because suddenly, someone else stood up behind her. Chair scraping loud against the floor. "Don't let her touch that," the man said, voice tight, almost desperate. And that was the moment everything shifted again. "Don't let her touch that." The man's chair slammed back as he stood. Too fast. Too loud. Every eye snapped to him. Richard didn't look away from Maya. Sit down, he said. The man didn't. She's not authorized. He pushed. This is a closed negotiation. Sit down. Lower this time. He sat. Hard. The silence that followed pressed in from all sides. Maya's hand still hovered over the contract. Didn't move. Didn't drop. Security shifted closer behind her. One step. Then another. Close enough now that she could hear the faint click of a radio. Richard leaned forward slightly. Why shouldn't you touch it? He asked. Not to the man. To her. Maya didn't look up. Her eyes stayed on the page. If I'm wrong, she said. It won't matter. A few quiet scoffs. Someone shook their head. This is insane. Richard's finger tapped the table once. Answer the question, he said. Maya's hand lowered. Her fingertips touched the paper. That alone made the room react. A chair scraped. Someone muttered, Unbelievable. The man across the table leaned forward, voice tight. You're making a mistake. Richard ignored him. Maya slid the contract an inch closer. Careful. Controlled. She turned the page. The sound, paper against wood, felt louder than it should. Her finger traced down the margin. Stopped. There, she said. No one leaned in. Not yet. They waited. Richard stood. Slow. Walked around the table. Each step measured. No rush. He stopped beside her. Close enough that their shoulders almost touched. He looked down. Not at her. At the page. Read it, he said. Maya swallowed once. Then, in the event of any regulatory review initiated after execution, her voice didn't shake. The acquiring party assumes full legal and financial responsibility, regardless of origin. A beat. Then she lifted her finger. Regardless of origin. Richard's eyes narrowed slightly. The man across the table spoke fast. That's standard coverage language. No, it's not, Maya said. Too quick again. Too direct. The room reacted harder this time. A woman stood halfway. You don't interrupt twice. Sit. Richard didn't even look at her. She sat. Maya kept her finger on the line. Regardless of origin means it doesn't matter who caused the issue, she said. If anything surfaces after signing, fraud, misreporting, compliance gaps, you take it. All of it. Silence. Heavy. Richard didn't move. She turned one page back, then forward again. Where is the limitation? She asked. No answer. A pen dropped somewhere to the left. No one picked it up. Richard's hand moved. Slowly. He placed 2 fingers on the exact line she pointed to. Pressed. Harder than before. His jaw tightened. The man across the table shifted again. Richard, listen. We can revise language post-signature. This isn't. Post-signature. Richard repeated. Quiet. Too quiet. You want me to sign first? Then fix it? No response. The room held its breath. Maya stepped back. One step. Creating space. Like she knew what came next didn't belong to her anymore. But Richard didn't move away from the page. He stayed there. Eyes locked. Who approved this draft? He asked. No one answered. He looked up. Slowly. Scanning faces. One by one. People avoided his eyes now. Tablets suddenly interesting. Notes suddenly urgent. Until he stopped. On the same man. Was it you? The man's lips parted. Closed. Opened again. It came through legal review, he said. Multiple eyes. That's not what I asked. Silence. A bead of sweat slid down the side of the man's face. Maya saw it. Everyone did. Richard straightened. Picked up the pen. Rolled it once between his fingers. Stopped. Then, he held it out. Not to the man. To Maya. The room broke. Voices low, sharp, overlapping. You can't be serious. This is completely out of line. She's staff. Security. Enough. One word. Everything stopped. Richard kept his hand extended. Pen steady. Waiting. For someone who doesn't belong here, he said quietly. You seem very certain. Maya didn't reach for it. Didn't move. Her eyes flicked to the pen. then to him, then back to the page. "You want me to sign?" she asked. A ripple through the room. Shock. Disbelief. Richard's expression didn't change. "Do you think I should?" he asked. Not rhetorical. Real. The weight of it landed hard. Maya's fingers curled slightly at her side. She looked at the contract again. At the line. At the word. Regardless. Security stepped closer. Right behind her now. One hand hovering near her arm. Waiting. The man across the table leaned forward, voice sharp, almost breaking. "If you let her do this, you're destroying the integrity of this deal." Richard didn't look at him, didn't respond, just waited. On her. Maya's hand lifted, slow, toward the pen. The entire room leaned in, breath held, eyes locked, her fingers inches away. And then, she stopped, not pulling back, not moving forward, just frozen there. Because now, it wasn't just about the contract anymore. It was about what happened the second she touched that pen. And everyone in that room knew. There was no coming back from it. The pen stayed in Richard's hand. Still, midair. No one spoke. The lights above the table hummed, soft, constant. A reflection ran along the polished surface, cutting through the contract, through Maya's fingers, stopping just before the line she had pointed at. Security's hand hovered near her arm. Didn't touch, didn't pull back. Waiting. Maya's hand lowered slowly, not toward the pen, to her side. The shift was small, but the room felt it. A chair creaked somewhere behind her. Then silence again. Richard didn't move. His eyes stayed on her. Not the page. Not the deal. Her. A drop of water slid from the edge of her sleeve. Hit the floor. Soft. Barely a sound. She didn't wipe it. Didn't look down. Across the table, the man who stood earlier pressed his palms flat against the wood. Leaned forward slightly, like he might speak, but didn't. The air felt tight now. Too tight. Richard's fingers tightened around the pen. Then loosened. He lowered it. Just enough for the tip to touch the paper. Faint scratch. Stopped. His jaw shifted once. Slow. Controlled. Maya's gaze lifted. Not all the way. Just enough to meet his hand. Then the pen. Then his eyes. This time she didn't look away. No one breathed. The glass wall behind them caught the city lights. Faint reflections of movement far below. Cars sliding through the night like nothing inside this room mattered. But inside, everything held. Richard tilted the pen slightly. Not signing. Not yet. A decision hanging there. Visible. Heavy. Maya didn't move. Didn't speak. Her shoulders stayed still. But her fingers curled once, tight, then released. The smallest motion. Enough. Richard saw it. His eyes flicked back to the page. To the line. To the word. Regardless. Silence pressed in again. Then, he lifted the pen off the paper. Just a fraction. And turned it, away from the signature line. Toward her. Again. A choice. Offered. Waiting. Richard held the pen out. Maya didn't take it. Instead, she reached for the contract. This time, no hesitation. Her fingers pressed flat against the page, sliding it back toward the center. A few people leaned forward now. Couldn't help it. She flipped one page, then another. Not fast. Precise. "Page 27 is where it lands," she said. "But it starts earlier." Richard didn't interrupt. Didn't blink. Maya turned the document around. Faced it toward him. Her finger moved to a section near the middle. "Here," she said. A paragraph no one had mentioned. Small. Buried. A man on the left squinted. "What is that?" Maya didn't look at him. "Preliminary disclosures," she said. The man across the table stiffened. Just a flicker. But enough. Richard saw it. He stepped closer. Eyes dropping to the text. Maya tapped once. "All prior internal audits have been disclosed in full to the acquiring party." A pause. Then she slid her finger down. "Including any findings not yet publicly filed." The room shifted. Subtle. Uneasy. The man across the table leaned forward quickly. "That's standard." Maya flipped one more page. Then why is this missing? She asked. She held up a thin sheet. Separate. Not clipped. Not attached. Just there. A few heads turned, trying to see. Richard didn't reach for it yet. Where did you get that? The man snapped. Too fast. Too sharp. Maya didn't answer. She placed the sheet on the table, right next to the contract. Aligned it. Same formatting. Same header. Same font. But the date, different. Earlier. Richard's eyes narrowed. He picked it up. Finally. His fingers gripped the edge. Tight. He scanned the page. Fast at first. Then slower. Then stopped. The room went quiet again. He flipped it. Checked the back. Nothing. Back to the front. His jaw set. Read it, he said. Maya didn't move. You found it, he added. You read it. She took a breath. Short. Then, internal audit flagged revenue inconsistencies in Q3 reporting. Potential regulatory exposure pending review. A chair creaked. Loud. No one looked away. Maya continued. Disclosure delayed pending internal resolution. She stopped. Didn't need to read more. Richard's eyes lifted. Not to her. To the man across the table. Slow. Heavy. The man shook his head immediately. That document isn't part of this deal. It is, Maya said. Quiet. Clear. She tapped the contract again. That clause, she said, only works if this never shows up. Silence. Thick. Richard looked back down at the page in his hand. Then at the contract. Then back again. The connection landed. Hard. Visible. His fingers tightened around the paper. You knew, he said. Not a question. The man stood again. This is being taken out of context. You knew, Richard repeated. Still calm. Still quiet. The man's voice rose. These are preliminary findings. Unverified. We had no obligation to include. Including any findings not yet publicly filed, Maya said, repeating the line. Exactly. Word for word. The man stopped. Just for a second. That was enough. Richard's hand moved. Fast this time. He dropped the audit page onto the table, right on top of the contract. The sound cracked through the room. Full liability, he said, looking straight at him now. You bury this. I sign that. And I take the fall. No one spoke. No one moved. The man's shoulders tightened. That's not how it would play out. Richard took a step forward. Close now. Too close. Then explain it to me. The man opened his mouth. Closed it. Looked around. No help. No backup. Just eyes. Watching. Waiting. Richard didn't blink. Didn't move. The pen still in his hand. But now. Lower. Not offering. Not asking. Maya stepped back. One step. Then another. No one stopped her. No one noticed. Because the room wasn't looking at her anymore. It was looking at him. The man. The one who wrote it. And for the first time, he didn't look like he belonged at that table. No one stopped her. Maya stepped away from the table, slow, steady. The contract, the raised voices, the tension. It all stayed behind her like a wall she had already walked through. Richard didn't call her back. He stood where he was, one hand on the table, the other still holding the pen. But he wasn't looking at the deal anymore. He was watching her. Maya reached the door. Her hand rested on the handle. Paused. Behind her, a voice tried to recover. Fast. Defensive. Words stacking over each other. It's not final language. These things get revised. This isn't. Stop. Richard didn't raise his voice. But the room cut clean. Silence again. Maya didn't turn around. Her grip on the handle stayed light. Richard moved then. Not toward the man. Toward the head of the table. He placed the pen down. Careful. Deliberate. Not signing. Not throwing it. Just setting it aside. A quiet shift moved through the room. Subtle but real. Someone leaned back. Another closed their folder without a word. The deal was gone. No announcement. No explanation. Just gone. Maya opened the door. Halfway through. Wait. She stopped. Didn't turn yet. Richard took a step forward. Then another. Not fast. Measured. He stopped a few feet behind her. Close enough that his voice didn't need to carry. You saw that? From cleaning the room? Maya turned slightly. Just enough. Her eyes met his. Steady. I saw what was left out, she said. Nothing more. Richard held her gaze. A beat longer than before. Then he nodded. Once. Small. Real. No smile. No apology. Just that. Maya looked at him for a second more. Then turned back. The door opened wider. Light from the hallway spilled in, softer than the room behind her. She stepped out. The door closed with a quiet click. Inside, no one moved right away. Richard stood there, looking at the door, then down at the contract, then at the extra page beside it. His hand rested on the table. Still, for the first time, he didn't reach for anything. And outside, Maya walked down the corridor without slowing. Her steps even, shoulders straight. She passed the service cart. The same one. The same quiet hallway. But this time, no one told her where she could stand. And she didn't look down. The hallway was quiet again. Maya's steps slowed near the window. City lights stretched across the glass, thin lines of white and red moving in silence below. She stopped there for a moment, one hand resting lightly against the frame. Her fingers were still. No tremor now. Cart rolled somewhere behind her. Distant. Fading. She pushed off the window and kept walking. Inside the conference room, a chair sat slightly out of place. The contract lay open. One page folded at the corner. The separate sheet still on top. Richard stood alone at the table. Jacket off now. Sleeves pushed back just enough. He didn't sit. Didn't touch the pen. His eyes moved once more to the line on the page. Then to the door. He reached out. Not for the contract, but for the extra sheet. Lifted it. Held it there. Long enough for the paper to stop shaking. Then set it down carefully, beside the rest. Aligned. Nothing hidden. The lights above flickered softly. Richard exhaled. Barely visible. And in the hallway, Maya turned a corner and disappeared from view. The building stayed the same, but something inside it didn't move the way it used to. She walked away without asking for anything back. Just left the truth where it needed to be. If you were standing there, knowing one sentence could cost you everything, would you still speak up? Or let it pass and stay safe? I'm curious what you'd really do in that moment. Tell me honestly.